On this, let's speak to an Everton fan then, Peter McParland. Good morning to you and good to see you again, Peter. Right, how big a club are you?
Well, one of the biggest. I mean, it's a simple. I just listened to Charlie there. He's absolutely spot on. We're one of the biggest. Unfortunately, in the Premier League era, we've let ourselves down massively. Up till then, our history was up there with anybody. You know, we were one of the big five that helped create the Premier League. Unfortunately, for any, it's not even modern viewers now. It's anyone who's been around in the Premier League era. Everton have really disappointed. So, to anyone who's come into football in the last 30 odd years, Everton will be seen as one of those teams who just bobbed around. But our history is still huge, and we've actually given a lot of teams a really good amount of time to try and catch up with us, and a lot of them haven't. You look at the likes of Chelsea; they still haven't caught up with the amount of league titles Everton have won. Tottenham are nowhere near Everton. And Manchester City only overtook Everton, I think, the season before last when they won the league. So we're still very much amongst the elite teams in the Premier League.
But it's hard, because the thing is, it's hard for me here because I completely agree with you and Charlie, and we have to have some sort of a debate. So I'm going to have to ask some tough questions. It is a long time since you have really challenged, though, which you have just said. Does that kind of diminish it? Are you a big club forever, or can that diminish?
I think if we weren't pulling in crowds of over 50,000, I think you could possibly say the supporters dwindled away and Everton have lost its fan base. But that's simply not true. We've still got that fan base. We've obviously got that fan base now at Hill Dickinson Stadium. If that wasn't around, if we weren't having this, we wouldn't be having this debate right now. I would not be on this show if Everton weren't a big club. It's as simple as that. Everton wouldn't get featured as much as we do on shows like this and other shows when we were in such a poor run in the last 3 or 4 years, and when we had our troubles and the points deductions, the fact that we're still on Sky as often as we are. We're on, I think, a week on Sunday against Spurs. We're still creating headlines all the time as a football club. And I think we're one of only a few football clubs who managed to make headlines by not winning trophies, whereas a lot of other football clubs just bob along, even if they're in the Premier League or not in the Premier League.
There's someone here called Brandon. I don't know who he supports, but this might rile you. Everton are a medium-sized club, not a big club. Playing Liverpool twice a season is their highlight. I haven't read that last bit. I think he actually might be a Liverpool fan. But, I mean, what do you think of that? Medium-sized club?
No, for me, and I'll probably get a bit of stick for this, but there's only 3 bigger clubs in the Premier League for me, and they are Liverpool, Manchester United and Arsenal. They're the only 3 bigger clubs I see. Manchester City and Chelsea, they've had a fantastic run by getting owners in with deep pockets before PSR came in.
Pete, on that, sorry, mate, with you. I'm with you. I'm in your court on that side. And when you said about Everton...
4th biggest.
Yeah, they're right up there. They're right in the bracket with, like, when you say big clubs, they're in the bracket of, I put Newcastle in there as a big club, right? I do. But going on about the PSR with Chelsea owners and with Man City coming in, and you say Everton kind of like let themselves down as such in the Premier League. But let's go right back to when Man City had the influx of the financial backing that they have. They wasn't achieving anything different to what Everton was doing. Man City
have been down to the 3rd tier.
But what I'm saying, before the money come in, they was doing no different to what Everton was doing, and Everton now, like you say, drawing in the crowds. They've got the big new stadium that's there. Everything for me seems a positive one now at Everton going forward. So they've got every right to be saying we are a big club.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, listen, when Manchester City came in, when they got their first influx of cash and got the new stadium, it didn't work out for them, and it needed a change of owner, and that took them on. What I was saying was the rules are slightly different now. And, Newcastle are finding that at the moment. Aston Villa are finding that at the moment. It's really difficult now. Chelsea and Manchester City benefited from the rules not being as strict, so they could spend basically anything they wanted, whereas teams are finding it a little bit tougher now, and that's where, as a club, Everton probably will still struggle, even with the stadium and with the cash. It's a different game now, and as I said, we've seen that with Newcastle, and maybe those rules will be changed in the next couple of weeks.
But surely now, Peter, Everton is so much more attractive to go into that. Now, everything looks like it's going in the right way. New stadium, they've always got the whole team going in, attracting players like Jack Grealish, Kieran Dewsbury-Hall, got everyone and Dye's flying, and the windows are coming up. You can attract them going forward and real push on and have a go at getting in that top half of the Premier League, getting into the European places.
Dewsbury-Hall came, he would believe, down from Chelsea to Everton, though. And Chelsea in the last 20 years, 5 Premier League titles and 2 Champions Leagues.
But you're saying that off because Chelsea has been in the European competitions, right? And if you're a player, and I'm speaking from a player's perspective, you are looking at that. You come from European football to no European football, so of course it's a step down.
Well, yeah, I mean, Everton are attractive at the moment, and Jack Grealish coming in has raised the profile once again, and it's up to Everton as a football club to keep that going.
But he's gone down from Manchester City, though, as well. So my issue is putting yourself above Chelsea and Manchester City when those two players will see this as not a big step down. It's not like they're going to the Championship, but they will feel that they are taking a step down from Chelsea and Manchester City.
No, of course, and I'm not putting Everton above Chelsea and Manchester City, by the way. I'm just putting them in that group of teams because they're just having their moments in the sun like Everton have in our history. You know, whether that lasts or not, we'll have to wait and see. But, of course, they took a step down because they're not playing European football. But I think Jack Grealish is a really good case in point for Jordan Pickford because he has spoken about his happiness while he's been at Everton. He said, you know, happiness is the most important thing for me, and he just wants to enjoy football. He's not even mentioned getting back for England, which I'm sure is his main, what he wants to do mostly, but he hasn't really mentioned that. He's just mentioned happiness, and I think that's a really good point about Jordan Pickford, is he just seems very happy at Everton, and as long as he's playing for England and he's the number one. And what Lee Dixon said, I think it's more, Lee Dixon goes after Jordan Pickford every single game he's on TV. It feels more than just talking about Everton. He likes to go after Jordan Pickford, and I think Everton as a football club have just had enough of that, to be honest, and it just got to the point where Everton felt like they needed to puff out their chest. Someone on the social media team felt like that was needed to be done. But Jordan Pickford's very, very happy at Everton, and I think that's what Jack Grealish is seeing at the moment. And listen, I'm sure these players would be happier if Everton were playing in European football or were competing for trophies. We all would. But that's what's keeping them at Everton, and I think that says a lot about where the football club is right now and what David Moyes has put into the football club. So we've just got to hope that continues. That attracts new players, and Everton push on. That's all you can hope for. We haven't got any God-given right to be at the top of the league or be in Europe. All we can do as fans is back the team and hope that that's where we end up.
And with Pickford, I mean, it's great news for Everton that he's still there. He obviously loves it there, so it all works, really. But how surprised are you that you have kept him for this long? Because not just clubs in the Premier League. I mean, Jordan Pickford does it for England, so worldwide, clubs' eyes are on Jordan Pickford. Yet he's never even been heavily linked with other clubs. He's still there. And I know it works for everybody, but is it a surprise to you?
I mean, I'm sure he has. I'm sure there has been times. I'm surprised. The one I'm surprised about is that Chelsea, I think they've had the strange collection of goalkeepers in the last few years. And even now you look at it and think if they had a real dominant goalkeeper like a Donnarumma, that would take them up a level. So I've been really surprised by that. Whether Jordan Pickford has just made it known to everybody that he doesn't want to leave Everton, I don't know, but we continue to have this debate about whether he's England number one, and when there is no actual debate, he is clearly England's number one.
Well, we all agree with that.
Yeah, we agree with that.
He is really, he seems really happy at Everton. He seems to have been happy since day one. And I also think he has been the most important player for Everton in the last few years, and where we've been able to sell other players to keep the club's head above water. Selling Jordan Pickford would have been a step too far because there's no way we could have replaced him. So, you look at Everton fans will know some of the saves that he's made against Chelsea. The penalty save against Leicester, where if they'd gone 2-0 up, that could have swung the table for them to have gone above us, and then that would have seen us probably get relegated. There's so many of these moments
you would have enjoyed the penalty save against Anthony Gordon as well last season. Just finally, Peter, just to let you into something that happened last week. We're doing a poll last week for the best goalkeeper in the Premier League, and originally Jordan Pickford wasn't in it. And I insisted that he had to be in that poll. Sadly, he came fourth with only 4%. But still, where does he rank for you in the Premier League? Because my point there was that he was number one.
I don't think he's number one. I can admit that. You've got Alisson. He's an incredible goalkeeper. Donnarumma's an incredible goalkeeper. Raya at Arsenal's an incredible goalkeeper. But I know he's the best English goalkeeper, so that debate's put to bed. But he's in that next group of goalkeepers. He doesn't have to be the absolute greatest goalkeeper. That's not the debate, and that's where I find this thing really strange. All I know is he's the best English goalkeeper, so therefore he's doing tremendously well, and he's doing tremendously well for Everton.
Peter, I've still got him as number one, so you can take that. Thank you.
Thank you.